Hello and welcome to this edition of New Knowledge. We're happy to have you with us here today. I'm Mark Graham, the Executive Director here at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. So we're happy to have you today. This is today's presentation is the last in our series of a number we've been putting on here in partnership with our friends at Letterpress Communications dealing with marketing issues. And today's program is From Chaos to Clarity, creating a 90-day marketing plan that works. Our presenter, we're excited to welcome Dr. Rhonda Gentry today. Dr. Gentry has a unique and diverse background that enables her to be very effective in her position as project manager at Letterpress. She has extensive experience with higher education and nonprofit work. She earned her undergraduate degree in mathematics from Campbell University and a master's in divinity from Duke. My sister would like that. She's a big Duke fan and has a PhD in organizational leadership from Union Institute and University. She was in a leadership position at role there at Virginia Intermont College and Tusculum University, and worked in the nonprofit sector a while before joining the team at Letterpress. And so we thank our partners at Letterpress for presenting again today, and our partners here at New Knowledge, the town of Abingdon and the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. With that said, we are happy to welcome Dr. Rhonda Gentry to the floor today to hear about marketing from our friends at Letterpress. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mark. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen so all of you can see that. As I'm talking, if you all need or want to have a chat or you want to ask questions, please feel free. I'll try to pay attention to those things and really help you all get a good understanding of creating a marketing plan. I thrive at bringing chaos into clarity or order. So our teammates were like, Rhonda, this is all you. So with that, let's dive in. I will say I have an accompanying workbook that will help you take all that we've talked about and put it into practice. And so when Jean follows up with the recording, she'll also follow up with the workbooks. That way you all have just things to work with. So you've been meeting some of my colleagues. This is our cute little fall picture of where we all got dressed up and decided we wanted to just show off who we are. We are a team that has a wide variety of experiences, and we are what we call a full service marketing firm. Basically, if you can think about it, we can generally assist you with it. So it's really a fun group to work with. We really specialize in small businesses, nonprofits, those that are in rural Virginia, because there are things here that are different than in other places. And we've often talked that one of those firms from a large city doesn't understand all the nuances that happen here. And so that's what we specialize in doing. And we love our work. We truly do. So with that, we're going to dive in a little bit more. So as we craft our 90-day marketing plan, I'm going to help you build it from the foundation up. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are the channels that you have that are the basis for your marketing tools. That is, the ways you get the word out about who you are, what you do, what you offer, and things like that. And some of you may have already heard this, and that's completely fine. And some of you might be like, this is new. So your communications channels are in 3 different categories. They are owned, earned, or paid. And like it sounds, your owned channels are those things that are yours. Like you don't have to have somebody else do it for you. But so things like your website, like you own the content on that website. You own the pictures, the newsletter that you put out, if you put out a newsletter, contacts that you all have. You all hopefully, especially as you build your business, are continuing to build your contact list so you have people to reach out to that are interested in what your business does. You own that. You also own what goes onto your Google business page, the things that talk about your hours, your location, how to find you really quickly with your phone number and your website. You own that as well. Social media, we like to say, is rented. We don't fully own our social media. You all may have experienced this, but sometimes Facebook or Instagram decides they don't really like you anymore. They stop your page or block you from posting or things like that. You can decorate your page as much as you want. You can put the photos on, you can put the content on, but the powers that be could often remove that. And so you'll see social media kind of lives in all three categories. But it's really important to realize that in this one, you don't technically own your social media. You do rent it from them. That's how we like to frame it. Your earned channels are things that you earn. It's additional avenues that the word gets out that other people are talking about you. So word of mouth. We live in Virginia. People talk, and we want them to have really great things to say about us. So word of mouth is really important. Reviews are extremely important as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about those later. But that's your digital word of mouth. That's why reviews are so important. Most of us, when we're trying to look up a product or a service or a business, we're going to look at the reviews. And so you want to make sure you have that. Media or press coverage, if you have a ribbon cutting, if a news station picks up a press release, if you get highlighted on one of those noon shows that we like to do in our region, that counts. And that is something that's also earned. And then social media, when you put things out there, you want people to engage with your content. That is going to be really important. So you want them to like it. You want them to share it. You want them to comment on it. And we often say that a really great practice is when you're doing your social media to have a question at least once every so often that gets people engaged on your page. Because the more engagement you have, the more that your information will be shown beyond your followers. And so that's really important to kind of feed that algorithm there. And we'll discuss more on social media as well. Paid channels, this is what costs you money. So it is that digital advertising, which includes your Google ads. It includes those banner ads if you do those on websites. It's social media ads that, if you boost a post on Facebook or Instagram, if you create a special ad that is not a boosted post, but something special and different, it's your print ads. Some of us, where we live, print ads are still alive and well. Radio, TV ads, those are still alive and well. And then community sponsorships. So I'm based here in Kingsport, so I'm not too far from most of you. One of the big things in Kingsport is that DB band card. The businesses want to be a part of that. And so we always encourage you to sponsor aspects within your community. So make room for that and consider that one of your paid channels. Okay. What is going to be another foundational component? So once we know what we have and we look at our owned, earned, and paid, we also want to start thinking about how are we going to measure success? And Mark stated I was a math major in college. I chose to be a math major because I didn't want to write. And the joke's on me because it's all I do all day is write anymore. But data is vital to our success. And so what I learned in that degree, and now I do constantly with my clients and things, is we decide that it is important to measure every single thing that you possibly can. So you're going to measure with your own channels. So what it is you might pay for an ad on social media. Is that going to result in increased likes, increased engagement, increased shares on your social media? Is that going to result in increased newsletter signups? Is that going to result in more website visits? See, so everything points back to those owned channels. So what you're going to look at, and this is how you can get that information. If you have a website, please make sure you've connected Google Analytics. It's not scary, I promise. Most website builders, I've worked with Squarespace and Wix and WordPress. They all have a nice thing that will allow you to connect to Google Analytics. The beautiful thing about Google Analytics is it will show you not just who is going to your website. They will show you where they're going on your website and how long they are spending on your website. You'll also get to see if somebody is new or if they are returning. And so that really helps to gauge the impact of all of that media that you've been working on, so we can see if we're getting a higher lift there. Same with newsletter. If you use a newsletter platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact, they provide you with analytics that tells you open rates. Did they click a link that you had in your newsletter? Anything like that. We want to see those kinds of analytics, and that will tell you, your open rate. One, are they paying attention? Because we all get inundated with email all the time, and so we want to make sure that oh, they're opening it. So this is a great way for you to see if it's actually being beneficial. And then anytime that you have something in print or digital, our friends, the QR codes are back. Back in 2012, I was the vice president of Virginia Intermont, and one of my web developers like, hey, there's this cool thing called a QR code. And I was like, okay. Then they died, and then they came back in 2020, and now we use QR codes for everything. I find it hilarious, but here we are. But you can easily make a QR code, and when you do an ad somewhere that's print, you can track how many QR codes are scanned, and so you can see if that print piece has been effective. You can track the number of phone calls you're getting. That you can often do that through analytics. We'll also show you if they're clicking on the phone call button from your website or even your My Google Business. And then coupon codes. We all love a good coupon code. So anytime you use that, you can measure that. So the idea is you want to measure everything you can. Now, I know all of you are crazy busy, and you might be going, Rhonda, that sounds awesome, but I don't have time to do that. I'm going to tell you to make time, and we're going to talk about how to make time soon. But one of the things I highly recommend is creating just a Excel or Google Sheets spreadsheet where you can just feed those numbers into it. You may not analyze them quite yet, but at least you can track the numbers, because that's going to be really important as you start making more decisions about where to invest your marketing dollars, because you want to see what's been effective, what's been used, and either put more money there or at least continue that. So those are really important. So what you need to do to set up all this, you're going to start at the end. A lot of you said you want your social media to be more engaging. You want people to be more on your social media. Well, that is a great key performance indicator or KPI. What you'll say is, I see my baseline of engagement right here, and I'd really like to see 10% growth over the next 6 months, or even 5% growth over the next 3 months. So that's a really important KPI to notice. Another thing, those soft things. Did I do the thing? So did I schedule my post like I said I would? Did I plan the special event like I said I would do? Did I track increase in sales? So those types of things, while that you might go, okay, that's a no-brainer. Oftentimes when we're looking and we're assessing, we forget about these simple things that we want to measure. So if you start yourself off with deciding what you want to measure, set up your spreadsheet, and then you will update as needed, it will help a lot. And I am a big proponent of reminders or calendar reminders. I use an iPhone, and Siri and I are best friends, and I will be like, hey, remind me on this date to do this thing. And that will actually help you quite a bit. Put it on your calendar as a reminder calendar. If you use a paper calendar, write it on there. Make sure you're going to do it. And then have somebody hold you accountable. At Letterpress, we believe very much in something called conscious accountability, where we really spend time talking to each other about what we're doing, how we're doing it, making sure we're staying on pace. And it's just this great way for us to stay on track. And I highly recommend doing that on your own. Find somebody that is a great business buddy. You all can say, we're going to work together to increase our presence within our region. And we're going to track these things. And I need to make sure that I'm tracking them and you want to track them. So let's hold each other accountable. Meet for coffee every now and then and look and make sure you're actually doing it. So that's really vital. So again, we said you can measure everything. You can measure clicks, impressions, store visits, all of that. So you want to make sure that you are finding a little row in your spreadsheet where you talk about this. And you can even say, okay, I'm getting this many website clicks from the QR code, or I'm getting this many website clicks from the newsletter. That will help you really see where your trends are. So pay attention to those types of things. Okay. So now that we know what our channels are, We have an idea of what success is or what we're going to actually measure. Now it's time to start actually laying down the marketing plan. And I'm a big proponent of plans because sometimes you have a plan and things go crazy, but you started with the plan. You started with something to help you get going. And if things go crazy, you have something to return to. And so having this marketing plan is going to be really, really helpful as you all make sure to move forward with what you're doing. So the first thing, you're going to look again at your own channels because you want to leverage them for success from day one. And don't be thinking, oh man, I already have some of this and I haven't done it right. You can fix things. Do not think that things are not going well. It's okay. That's why we're spending time learning. And we can make adjustments now to improve success later. So here are some things that we could do for your social media. So I'm not going to ask you all to say, but think in your mind, how often are you thinking about social media as almost like the last thing you do? Oh no, it's Wednesday. I haven't posted anything. I've been guilty, especially before I came into this role. Do not beat yourself up about that. What I'm going to highly recommend that you do, though, is start thinking about your social media in a monthly calendar type thing. You know what's happening. You know if you're going to have a sale. You know if you're going to have a special event. You know if there's something cool happening. And so what we highly recommend is you write out those things. On March 5th, I know I'm having a author come and speak. Well, you're going to post about that probably 2 or 3 days before or even before that. So you want to make sure you have that ready. You have your post, you have your graphics, and you then can schedule everything to be posted. We highly recommend using the native schedulers. Don't waste your money on those third-party scheduling. And I'll tell you why. We want to feed the algorithm. And Meta especially is very possessive about their algorithm. They want you to use their native scheduler. So if you have Business Suite, which once you have like a business page, you can click on Business Suite, you can click on Planner, and you can start planning out your social media posts and schedule them 30 days in advance. If you did the same thing on one of those third-party schedulers, what happens is Facebook is going to say, oh, hey, this company is scheduled using my Business Suite scheduler. They're going to bump you up higher in the algorithm. More people are going to see that post. Then, if you've done a third party, Meta's going to be like, I don't think so. I don't like this, but I guess I'll schedule the post. They will not show it as widely as you think it is. So if you are using a third party scheduler, that is why your posts are not going out as far as you think they should. So I highly recommend Facebook and Instagram you can schedule. YouTube you can schedule. You can schedule TikTok if any of you have branched into that. And you can schedule LinkedIn. So make sure you do that. And then also set aside time each week to engage with your followers. It does not have to be every day. It can be twice a week, 15 minutes, where people who've liked your post that maybe they aren't followers of your page, you can invite them to like your page. They may have commented something. You want to comment back because that's engagement and that raises the algorithm so people are seeing your content more. Make sure you do that. Then this also leaves room for you to have some natural posts. Say something really funny happens in the office and you snap a picture. Go ahead and post that. Just because you schedule in advance does not mean you don't do those live action shots. Those tend to get really great traction. So make sure you spend a little bit of time. But if you've done all this other content, you're not sitting there on Wednesday thinking, oh no, I haven't done anything for my socials this week. It's already done. Newsletter. What's really going to be important is to collect content. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how content can be used across your channels. So what you do on social media can very much help you with newsletter and website. So you want to, as you're going, and if you do a newsletter once a month or once a quarter, make sure you're constantly gathering content. Also, gather more contacts. Is there a way for people to register for your newsletter on your website? Do you do something fun on social media where you're like, register for, sign up for our newsletter and you get 10% off, those types of things. So gather more contacts. Then you want to create it, of course, and send it. The website. The things that you want to do quite frequently is make sure the site is up. Sometimes things happen and it goes down, so you just want to make sure it's up. You want to create blogs. Blogs are back. I feel like everything that was old is new again. Blogs are now really important because of AI search overview and AI overview. Because AI is crawling all of your owned channels to learn more about you. And the more information we can feed AI, the better it is. And we'll talk a little bit about that too, a little bit deeper. But hear me say this. AI is going to find out information. It's your job to make sure the information they find is correct and updated.
Rhonda, can I ask a question here?
Sure.
For the newsletter, is there a recommended length? Because people don't like to read.
Yes. So that's a great question, Jean. We actually started moving to, and you all may see this in some of the things that you read, where it's headline based. So it's a headline with a 3-sentence blurb and a cool graphic, and then like a series of them. So what that does is it allows people to pick what they're interested in reading, and they're more apt to read those short blurbs all the way through. So then that can also measure, and you can see people are really clicking on this type of story. So that tells you that that's what they're really interested in. From a person that was fundraising, it will help you to see what might turn the key to increase your fundraising. If you've done a story, somebody might be really interested in, you see, oh, wow, they're really clicking on this one type of story. That might be a hook to help people donate to that. But yeah, that's what we recommend. It's kind of a clickable link that expands if people want to read more, but has a short blurb if they're, just to get them to see what's going on with your organization. Great question. For advertising, what's really important to think about is your frequency. You may not be where you need to run an ad all the time, and that is fine. You may pick and decide, I have this really great event that is in August, and so you want to build your advertising for that. You might go about 8 weeks before and start advertising. So think about how often and what you need to create. Then, do you have to create the ads? If they are on Meta or Google, you're going to typically create them yourself. If they're going to be something that's printed, the vendor might offer design services, or if you feel comfortable, you can submit your own artwork. So think about those types of things. And then also decide on your strategic community sponsorships. Is there a really big event that you need to be at and your name should be there? Budget advertising dollars for that. Is there, in the region we live in, there are a ton of youth sports teams. My son is a soccer player, and he wears HMG across his chest. So everywhere we go, there is HMG across his chest. And when we travel for tournaments, people ask about it, and we talk about what that is. So those types of things are really important. And it seems like that's kind of silly. Why would I do that? But depending upon where you want your name to be and the audience that you're trying to get, some of these community sponsorships are the perfect way to really get your name out there. And it's usually not as high of a cost as you think. Okay. So we're building again. So now we're at the point where we have to make our content. And this is where a lot of people get a little nervous. I'm going to tell you right now, please do not just go to ChatGPT and say, I need content for this. It will create content. It will. It will not be great content. There's a really good way to use AI and there's a really not good way. And we'll talk about ChatGPT as we create content as well. But don't just do that, please. I'm begging you. So content marketing is more than just throwing something out there. Remember what I said, the AI crawlers are everywhere. When you do a Google search, you've all seen it, you might search the best restaurant near me. And that little AI overview pops up and says, the best restaurant near you is this, this, this. And you can, learn more. What Google has said and released is that last year alone, 60% of Google searches stopped there. And because people learned the information they wanted to know and they stopped. So you're going, wait, where does AI get this information? They're getting it from your content. So your content has to be strategic, it has to be valuable, relevant, and consistent, because you're bringing in an audience, but you're also making sure that you're telling those that don't know about you who you are. So how do we do it? Well, we recommend developing content pillars. And you will give these your own names, but they kind of have 5 different categories. The first is promotional. At Letterpress, we like to talk about who we are and what, like who is Letterpress and meet our team, things like that. So you might say, to promote myself, I'm going to talk about the upcoming event I have, and your event might change. That's fine. We also say an educational one. Whatever you do, there's an educational component. Teach somebody about why you do what you do. Explain the intricacies of your work. If you're in IT, all of this computer stuff is not magic. There's thought behind it. So you could do a really great thing talking about some of the most common issues you see. Inspirational. People like to get that goosebump feeling. They want to see, what drives you, what makes your business click, what excites you. Then entertaining, we always call that kind of like the behind the scenes. You're doing something with somebody and something hilarious starts. You take this funny picture. That's a really great way to do it. And then also community. And that is, how are you bringing in those outside of your organization? So that's a chance to highlight partners. It's a chance to highlight collaborators. You want to tag them in that. So you really want to establish then your 5 content pillars, and you'll name them things that are appropriate for your organization, but they will fit within this. And the reason for that is this will help you create valuable, high quality content if you are focused. So we're trying to make you focused. It is really important as you're creating your content. You're not just going to tell people about something. You're going to story tell it, because people, they're interested. They want to know more. But if you're just kind of, well, we do this, great, probably not going to get the engagement you want. But if you have a great story of, I went into IT because I understood that not everybody can work with technology the way that I can. And I have this great client that started it for me. That is a storytelling, and it's telling us more about who you are. And that gets more people interested, and it has more engagement. So you also want to, as you're writing content, to have visual content. And for those that, you're constantly working, you're going to schedule time. And it might be every couple of months where you're going to make sure you take some pictures, or, making sure you have images. Take vertical and horizontal. There used to be a day and age where everything was horizontal, and now it's all vertical. In 6 months, it could go back to horizontal. So you want to make sure you have both. Also, when you do this can all be done on your smartphone. They take great photos. My smartphone is better than any camera I had growing up. And even those, you all might remember those early digital cameras. Our smartphones are better than that. So go ahead, use your smartphone. Your videos, they don't have to be complicated. You don't have to have some massive editing software. A lot of our smartphones have internal editing available. Use it. Feel free to do it. But what you're going to do is making sure you're collecting this so things stay fresh. And you want to keep it organized on your computer. So don't just keep it on your phone, because sometimes things happen to our phones. So make sure it's backed up, but you want to keep it organized. So when you're looking for, when you've written a post about your event, oh, I have a cool video about that, you can find it. When you're writing your newsletter, you can find the photo or the video that accompanies that. So you want to make sure you do this and take time. We do say at least monthly to do just a little bit. And it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. So one of the important things Google is still our best friend when it comes to finding out information. That's the reality. I know many of us would, we might want to use a different system, or we might say, really, we just need something better. But you still want to pay attention to Google keywords or keywords in general, because what happens is what you're trying to identify, what are people searching for that ties into your organization? So you want to ensure, and I've given you a couple of resources, and you will get this, don't worry, where you can find good keywords. You can type in what you do, and it will tell you what keywords there are. Then what you want to do is anytime you're writing content, make sure to use some of those keywords. Because as I said earlier, those AI crawlers are paying attention. So if, for example, Letterpress, we do rural marketing. Oftentimes when you Google rural marketing in Virginia, Letterpress is going to go to the top. That's because we have that set up as one of our keywords. So that when you Google that, here it comes. And you see it not just on our website, but you see it on our social media, and you see it in our newsletters. And I want to highlight here, content can be used across channels. So whatever you write for social media, you might have, let's take it, for example, you've got your August event, back to school something. Well, you have been creating posts about that. Those posts can then be reworked just a little bit to become one of those newsletter articles. Remember, like just the few blurb about what it is. And then it can be expanded to become a blog on your website. So you have a blog that says, we had this great back to school event. Here's what it is. Here's what you can get from it. And you just describe it. Well, guess what? Now that content, that same initial content has been recycled in 3 different ways. And if you're using your keywords, it's going to appear in the Google searches, and it's going to appear in your AI overview. So those are really important things to keep in mind as you're planning what you do. So we now have all these pieces. We've talked about our channels. We've talked about how we're going to measure. We've talked about creating our content and our content pillars with written and visual content. We've got our foundation. Now it's time to flesh it all out, because you want to make sure that you've done all this work and it's going to do something. So start small. We can't do everything all at once. I know, I'll just confess, I think I can do it all. I now know I really can't, but I still want to think that. And I'm sure I'm not alone on this call that says that. So think about all these things. What do you need to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? We're focusing on a 90-day marketing plan. That's a quarter. So what are the things that we have to do? So you're going to look at these bigger measures and these bigger pieces, and you're going to break them down into smaller bites that you can manage. So thinking about what it is that you want to do this year. If you're thinking about a website refresh, well, here's something you can do daily. 1, making sure your website's running. Weekly, you can create a new, update an image on your website. Monthly, you can write a new blog post. And then quarterly, you can say, okay, I'm going to focus on this section next. So I've taken this website refresh, which seems really scary, and I've broken it down into smaller segments that will work well. And you will do that with anything that you want to accomplish in a year. Break it down. What do I need to do? That helps you to do it over time. Because if I said to you all, I need you to spend 8 hours and work on your website in one sitting, that might be a bit much. Actually, I'm going to say that is a bit much. Most of us don't have a full day to spend doing one thing. But if I said to you, I want you to take 5 minutes every day and maybe an hour a week, that is much more manageable. That way you can fit it in. You might have multiple meetings, but you're like, I got this hour from 11 to 12 on Wednesdays. I can do this. And that's going to be really helpful. So you're going to break those up, and you're going to make a nice calendar that says every day I'm doing this, every week I'm doing this, every month I'm doing this, and every quarter I'm doing this. And our workbook breaks that down for you. So now we're going to implement it. We're going to make it happen. So here's your calendar. Good example, social media engagement. That is so vital to making your social media pages more relevant and for them to grow. So I've already said this, you're going to set aside 15 to 20 minutes 2 times a week. That really doesn't take too long to do. You're going to respond to comments. You're going to comment on other community pages. The reason why you're going to do that is if you are a bakery and there's this great restaurant next to you that does amazing appetizers, if you comment, people will see your comment and go to your page. And you want to do it not in a I'm stealing your business way, but in a let's partner together way. And the best thing about all of this, it is your schedule. If you know Mondays is the worst day of the week for you to do things, don't put stuff on Mondays. Put it when it works best for you. So I've given you a lot in basically 45 minutes, roughly. What kinds of questions do you have? What would you like to know more about? Because I know a lot of random things, but I want to share with you what it is will be most helpful to you. And I will say, when you get the workbook, you'll see kind of how to plan all this out, and it walks you through making this happen for yourself. Oh, how to do a keyword search. Sure. Right. Let me go back to my. Okay. Let me, I'm going to do this other website because not everybody has Google Ads right now. Would that be okay? Ignore the 1,200 tabs I have available because that is how I roll. I'm sure you guys are the same way. You see my brain going. And you see that I question myself on a piece of grammar. So let's go here. So this is a great website. So here's what you're trying to do. You want to learn more about your business does something specific. So I want to know what kind of keywords. So I'm going to look at, let's see, if I wanted to know more about pet shops. Okay, just picking something out here. I'm going to do it in English because my other languages are not so good. And I'm focusing on United States traffic because that's what I'm looking for. You can then search. And what it will do, give it a second. Yeah, but it's not what I want. Oh, there it goes. See, look, it got there. It did. It just took a second. I was like, I haven't used this tool, so it should work. And it did. So now you can see right here. What it's giving you is what search engines are looking for. So it's like pet shops near me with puppies. It's showing you what AI models are looking for, pet food brands available at a local pet store. So this is how you're getting people, when you put these in, this is how you're getting people to find your site. Social media, people can search social media now, and that's really fascinating. But you're going to see right here, it says fish pet shops near me. So this will help you understand a little bit more about what you're looking for. And if the keyword, now here's also the important note, not every keyword that pops up in the keyword finder is going to be applicable to your business. There's this idea that AI is taking over everything and we won't need our brains anymore. Well, not necessarily, because I have to cull through AI to figure out what is most relevant. Okay. So that should be really helpful. I do want to talk just quickly about ChatGPT. You can see I have a link up on that because I do use it regularly. What is really important about ChatGPT is the quality of the prompt you put in. So if you want social media content, we'll use our pet store. Say I'm looking for, and you're going to say which platform. I want Facebook content that is based off of this website, all this other material, and I want to create content around this event. What I often will do is say, knowing this, are there questions I need to answer so you can give me a quality post? And it will say, who is your audience? How far away is this? Things that you may not have thought of. If you do that interplay back and forth, you will get a much better quality product out of your AI. So it's all about the prompts of what you do. So don't just put something in and get something out. Put in something, but then play with it a bit, and then you'll get quality out of it. So that's going to be what's important. The 4 is promotional. Here, I'll pull that up again just so you can see it. It's promotional, educational, inspirational, entertaining, and then we like to add community. Well, I will send out this present. I'll give this to Jean along with the workbook. And my contact information is on the last page. If you have any information or any questions, feel free to email me. I'm generally pretty responsive on email within about a day or so. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Last call for questions.
Last call.
Well, thank you all very much for attending this session of New Knowledge. We appreciate Dr. Rhonda Gentry with Letterpress assisting us today. If, as always, if we can be assistance to you here at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, we're happy to do that. Thanks again to the town of Abingdon and Washington County for assisting. And as always, thanks to our admin assistant, Jean, who keeps the train on the tracks for most of these programs. So if you have other questions, certainly visit our YouTube channel here at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, where we have a catalog of prior new knowledges. And we hope that you'll receive some benefit from those. And if we can help you, please contact us. Thanks, Rhonda. Everybody else, have a good week.
Thank you all so much.